Good evening, TNT family. Welcome back to Yellow the Code program on UNC USA. Yellow is the code. And I have my friend here, Mr. Suman Singh, and as usual, my other friends will join us in a few minutes or so. So, Mr. Singh, I want to welcome you back to Yellow is the Code program. It's always a pleasure having you here with us. So, we're continuing the discussion on the stand your ground laws and the FUL situation in Trinidad. And I quote one statement by former AG Anand Ramlogan here that the deal where they always try to make um, when we talk about self defense, it's a racial thing, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean we are seeing in the country where it's pretty obvious people of all race, creed, size, religion has been attacked, robbed, kidnapped in the country. So I don't know how the PNM could spin this into a racial, agenda when we are representing all people in the country. And I mean, it's every race. If you look recently, the young lady, the funeral for the young lady today, was cut up and put into a suitcase. I mean, that was so hurtful. I think about my daughters, man. I I would not rest easy. They would have to kill me to stop me. Because I would not play nice. With knowing the kind of thing that happening in the country there, and we under restraint. And last night Anand was talking about the fact that the guy, his house was invaded and what was taking place, and he was debating on whether he can, he should shoot or not shoot, because he wants to be in the right, and it's very very how to say concerning, the fact that now that the guy you know, he ended up shooting, and I think I lost you there, follow up, Mr. Singh. Anyway, so yeah, so the guy ended up shooting, and he had to. He was put in a situation for where he had to how to clarify himself on defending himself, and it is ridiculous, and it's kind of C9 to the fact that what we have to go through in defending yourself in the country. Hold on a second, let me try getting back Mr. Singh here. I think I lost him. He dropped out for some reason. uh, let's see here. Yeah. So we got Mr. Singh. He's going to be back with us soon. So yeah, seeing the fact that the gentleman had to, which was a relative of the former AG, and had to defend himself, and had to be under so much duress of proving his innocence and his right to defend himself. And this is what we need to really need to work on rectifying, clarifying the laws of the country where you can be comfortable in defending yourself and not have to worry about it. I mean, it's within your right. But there are circumstances where you could be out of your house, and we had one farmer trying to clarify if he's in his garden and he's attacked, what is his rights to defend himself. So all this was taking place last night, which was good information that people got a chance to ask these questions. So, Mr. Singh, I want to welcome you back to the program, and if you could jump in here for a few minutes, let me try to pull up some files.
Yes. Good night, Gary, and to all listeners, as well as on the various platforms who are joining us. Welcome to our show. Um, I am in full endorsement of the existing. All right, I guess I'm back on. Sorry about that. Hello, Gary?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I was very happy to hear what from that meeting yesterday, certain points of clarification. As we all know, there's a lot of talk and varying opinions about it. And I think last night brought a fair degree of clarity to all of this. It was shown where the existing law, the onus was, you know, on those who were attacked, the defendant, to prove his innocence. Whereas
Yeah,
the
yeah. The burden
attacker,
of proof was on you. The
uh,
burden of proof was you, not
that's
the
right,
criminal invading your house.
the criminals, it was not on them. It was on you to prove your innocence, that you acted appropriately and within the law. Now, what the law states? The law states you cannot shoot somebody, or you cannot, um, according to what Paru Maharaj, he has a different terminology for it all. But what he's saying, you cannot fire a shot or shoot or maim somebody just because they have jumped over your wall and they're up on your steps and they are trying to break in your door. You cannot use you cannot do or act in any aggressive manner. So you tells me something. You have to wait for them to break open your door and attack you. Then you'll have to respond with the
But even the
appropriate.
guy inside the house, the current law is stating
Yeah,
that you have to really prove that
yeah.
you are in a position they have no choice. The guy, because the law only could charge him with breaking and entering, and then that's a minor charge. In the sense that within 3 months you could probably still serve there. But for this
So
person breaking in your house, attacking you, and you have to prove. So this kind of a dinosaur kind of
yeah,
thinking has to be, not in this day and time.
and that is a case entirely of where it's called biases in the law. That the onus is on you to prove the defendant, to prove your case. When it should have been the other way around. So this new proposed legislation seeks to rectify that. And I heard the mm, member of parliament for Faisal,
Welcome, Pearl and Barbara. Yeah.
you know, listing out the details. And they try to make this proposed legislation, as punitive as possible. Because, for example, it says 500,000 or 20 years if you've been caught in somebody else's property, but they intend to do aggravation. But
Well,
if it was
we have to enforce or upgrade the trespassing law. I
and
mean, you enter my property. I mean,
right away,
far as that,
right away,
you are posing a direct threat to me.
right away. So if you were to kill somebody in that process, meaning if they were to harm your children or wife or family or parents or whoever, and somebody unfortunately dies, then the fine is $750,000 and 25 years in jail, or immediate the death penalty kicks in. So again, these are upgrades, way upgrades on the existing legislation, and it is good. And I think that this will serve a real deterrent, you know, to how to especially home invasions. It will act as a deterrent, and never mind what the naysayers and they say, or you're all trying to, like PNM always bring race into the argument, and this is when the chips are down, they play the race card.
But they're talking like no other race in the country is being attacked and robbed. I mean, the young lady that we saw
Today,
that's
today,
been chopped up and buried today,
yeah.
so what race is she? You
Well,
know?
as far as I can tell you that all of a sudden, PNM found their voices, but all along, you're not saying anything. They had pip in their mouths because did you ever hear them anything about CPAP again when they found out what the
Well, I don't know.
reality was?
I don't know if Faris had his tongue removed or I don't
Well,
know
what
what's
about
going
the
on.
leader
He
of the
got silent.
opposition? What about the
Yeah,
leader of the
yeah, leader of the
opposition?
opposition.
Eh, they're trying to divert. It's a diversionary tactic.
But they caught red-handed with playing the
Correct.
race card, which they always did in the country. And
Yes,
I always said the day Indian and African unite in the country, PNM did.
correct. And you see it in this
And a lot of
election.
people have come to realize the fact that that and then sought their best interests in removing the PNM.
Now, you know, as you're reading, not only examine things holistically in the country. Who cut gate? Who cut school feeding? Who's cut the laptop distribution? Who cut the books
Who
and the
cut the food
uniforms
card?
grant?
Who
Food
tell the
card.
people to wean themselves off the government while the government wean themselves on the treasury? I mean, look at this. Look at the money in the CPEP, the large sum of money. Who it went to? It didn't went to the guy walking, breaking his tail in the sun to cut the grass and dig the drain.
So this is what they try to inculcate that, oh, it's a race thing, you're cutting, making black people suffer more. But look at it. Who was the one who cut things over the last 10 years? Who was the one who cut things over the last 10 years, my friend? So for them now to come and say, well, you all, sabotaging or against the black children and this and that, it's very disingenuous of them to play this race card talk. So with that in mind, let the legislation go through, let some amendments kick in, and I in full endorsement of the proposed penalties and so on associated with it. There will be some teething problems, I'm sure, and let it be worked out over time. But let the chips fall where they may, my friend. The pennies asking for where is the crime plan? Well, this is part of it, and you will see it in action. But I would like to ask her, where was the crime plan for the last 9.5 years? Can you show me it? What was done? So again, this is how they're very disingenuous. You had 9.5 years, but then again, Stuart Young is saying, oh, they now know how to implement after the 9.5 years. Apparently, they were in either kindergarten or prep school or something like that. And it took them nine and a half
He
years
was
to.
prime minister in training. Welcome, Joyce. Uh,
Yes. So I think the legislation is good. The penalties are stiff, which it should be, and I'm happy about it. The Kings working out the couple of the Kings, especially with mental health and getting, a couple of the other related issues, the social aspects of it as well. And
yes, Joyce, we did listen to Anand and he did cover the race issue. That's what we're discussing here tonight. Go ahead, Mr. Singh.
Yeah, and I guess there are some issues to be dealt with, but that can be dealt with alongside while the legislation is being debated and enacted upon. Also,
But just imagine the fact, Mr. Singh, that the government is facing pressure to prove to charge a young lady who was caught guarding Sati, when she was rescued. They
yeah,
want they want her they want her to go. They're trying to pressure the government to prove their case.
correct. And again, it shows the hypocrisy in the existing legislation. The onus is again on the defendant for me and you to prove our innocence when it should be flipped around. Let the attackers or the criminals, let them be the one to prove what they were doing there, or who entered whose property and took the person by force and so on. So, as we discussed yesterday, there are a couple of social issues related to this piece of legislation, and I hope that this be sorted out in the quickest possible time and get on with getting it on for the sake of the country at large. Because
So I
crime,
mean, standing your ground. You're entitled to stand your ground wherever you're standing.
correct,
Okay,
and
you're
the same thing.
entitled to defend yourself wherever you're standing. If you go to the ATM and the bank and you attack there, you're
Yes,
entitled to defend yourself.
correct,
Okay,
correct.
if
I mean, the same law stands here. The same law is in Florida are here right now. Stand your ground. Law is part of. In fact, large part of the proposed law is based on the Florida law here in the U.S., which is under the Amendment 2 of the American Constitution. So standing your ground is nothing new at all. It's just that they're trying to put the racial spin on this, as usual with everything else that the P&M does. They're just trying to make it sound like, oh, a lot of black boys, mommy, nice child will get affected by this. I hope that the penalty is implemented as quickly, especially in case of death penalty, is like it should be in a matter of a week.
yeah, but you think about a death penalty, don't scare none of the criminals there in the
Well,
country. But
wait till
yes,
this.
yes, Joyce. I just want to respond to Joyce. We need to fix the police administration in the way that it managed. I'm not sure if you ever heard what I said before, but the fact that the way the response to the police patrolling, when you reach out to the police, how they respond to you, there's a lot to play to take into come into play here with the police response, the police gathering information, the police not relaying what you said to criminals who may be the ones that are attacking you. Because some of the we have had situations where the police is in loop with those that are doing the crime. So these are
Yes,
things we have a lot of things to flush out. The police need a lot of training in upgrading their customer service skills. They
yes,
need the technological part
that
where
is
they're
the
using
point.
computers, the dash cam, and the communication device, taking a report. They run around to send you to this station and that station. We want to make sure that all these things are eliminated, and the police respond effectively. They do the patrolling effectively. If they do all of these things, we won't have to shoot a lot of people. The fact that they say that they worried about they shooting this and shooting that one. If the police does their job, it minimizes you send a clear message, and you send a message that the criminals will reconsider their action because they know we on our ball. We have things under control. But when you know that a community where you could go kidnap somebody, rob somebody, and run out and escape, without any repercussions, and or being caught, they're going to continue this kind of thing. But go ahead, Mr. Singh.
Yeah, Gary, I must stress, the role of technology in all of this and training and retraining of most of the police officers.
And it's not
Uh,
rocket science. It's not rocket science. is the thing about Mr. Singh is our police officers travel, our government officials travel. They come to the U.S. They see, I mean, everything that's done here is seen on TV also.
So there's a process, and nobody will say, "Oh, they can't find the file is missing, the evidence is gone, they took down the wrong information, and they kill the case like that." This thing must be never be allowed to happen. In fact, my view is that whenever these things fall apart, let the police be held responsible for it. Either demote
Well,
them or
evidence should be signed for if it's in a lockup, right? That
correct. And
okay, and
some
the evidence room should be under surveillance also.
and some senior officer or officers need to countersign it. So it's not one man. It goes through a process so that once you digitize that information after that report is, they are signed off on that report that you as the constable or whoever is taking the report and countersigned by a superior officer, you digitize the record right away. If you have a verbal, you know, if it's an audio clip or something, you digitize that as well. So the evidence is there in more than one place. So it had nothing like, oh, the officer, we can't find the officer, he on leave, or he gone out of the country. No, 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 no. Those things are backward. That's the backward side of modern policing. The thing is that you must always have the evidence on hand, whoever makes the charge, whether they are there or not, because ever so often the police doesn't show up for important cases and they're still on the job, which means that the criminal.
And no repercussion. They are not reprimanded for it at
That's the
all.
thing. That is what I'm
Because
saying.
it's a buddy system. They all protecting each other.
And they
And but
they,
I'm like I said, so far I'm impressed with the new commissioner of police, and he called it as it is. We are dealing with a crime syndicate. The crime syndicate goes, it's some here, it's some there, it's some in the jail. It's in the system, it's in the security apparatus. So that is why we have to do what we have to do. And if
and
you notice that the Minister of Homeland Security changed some of the rules where a prisoner can be held, so that they can keep them in the lockup where in the Coast Guard or or the military compound where it was included now, so they can't justify moving their prisoner or stuff like that. But go ahead.
since when, I will touch on that, since when prisoners have a say in where they should be kept?
When you have enough funds to hire the best lawyer because you're committing the right kind of crime.
Yes. And you are party of you know, some political inclusion somewhere along the line.
Yes, and you could buy like I said, you could buy the right lawyers. You could influence the justice system, and we all know what that we have to reconstruct and clean up this justice system. It's not just government we have to clean up, you know. But how much
Yes.
can we do? Let's see what happens.
That's why I say there are biases in the system, biases in the system. And once you
And
can get,
PNM created,
oh,
constructed, nurtured, plant this whole thing, and manage it. They're totally responsible.
so no wonder they couldn't do anything over the 9.5 years. They were still learning. And they were in the ECCE, early childhood education stage. So now they have graduated to primary school after 9.5 years. That is the stupidity what they are trying to tell the nation. And say all this. Let me hear your crime plan. There's 2.5 months to 3 months this UNC government is in power. But let me hear your crime plan. You know, UNC does not have a crime plan. That's what the chairman of the PNM is saying. But they were there 9 years. Did you ever hear their crime plan? Did
You
we
ever
ever
see it in
hear?
action? The crime plan was to increase crime.
No doubt, I wouldn't doubt that he
Well,
was
welcome,
there.
welcome, welcome, Darren. Welcome, Darren.
Yeah. So
And I want to reiterate to our listening audience that you do have an opportunity to come on this program and to to voice your opinion. You could
yes,
join us on the live here anytime. The door is wide open to anyone that wants to join us.
yes, we all are welcome to have the say on it. This is not a one man, two man, three-man show. Let's hear the voices of the people. This is what it's all about. But going back again, I think I like the penalties. I would like to see the justice part of it being swiftly addressed. Swiftly addressed mean within a week or 2 weeks. That's the end of that particular case. It should not be prolonged and a long drawn out thing, and then it becomes the same old, same old. You have X amount of prisoners on death row, and then you have statutory limitations on it. And after 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, the person goes scot free. It makes no sense. When we do have the death penalty law in effect in Trinidad and Tobago, to make use of the law, whether it be a deterrence, well, so be it. So I'm in full agreement of this legislation, and I'm glad a lot of constituencies, a lot of MPs in the various constituencies are having the same consultation over this past weekend or early next week. I know some of them are maybe thinking about the election, the UNC internal election, but I think more importantly, between the pre-budget discussions and this proposed legislation, that this should be priority. So I think that the various MPs and so on are right on the ball. They are doing their best to be part of the process, so to speak, and doing a good job at trying to alert their constituents at the very least what it entails to stand their ground and FUL are all about. So, with that, I think if you have any more to add, Gary.
Well, the consultation definitely has to continue. We have to get because there is a draft legislation and it has to be adjusted according to the views.
The
Then
feedback,
when they get
the,
all the facts
the
from the citizens of the various scenarios of things happening, like the farmer was raising the question about if he's in his garden, and he and no, and then it also explained that if your garden attached to your house, certain laws apply there. But if you in your garden that is separate from your house, you are still entitled, as far as I'm concerned, to stand your ground. You're entitled to defend yourself. And I think Dave Tanku did point out that the self-defense laws, the current self-defense laws, gives you that right, to defend yourself if somebody attack you in your garden. Which
yeah,
but the
but
thing about it is they have denied the farmers rights to getting an FUL, and that is what put them in under duress because the criminals have all access to the heavily how to say automatic weapons, and they can do you what they want. And you are a gardener there. You basically have your cutlass and maybe
you
your
have
hoe
the
or your
color,
pickaxe.
David and Goliath scenario. You have a cutlass and they have an AK on their side. You know.
But that's the situation that PNM put us in.
Yes, absolutely. And now they're talking about, well, what are your plans to solve the crime situation? Well, you dealt with it for 9 years. What are your plans? I keep on saying that. What were your plans? Was it to increase crime? Well, if your plan was to increase crime, then you were very successful. because that is what had transpired over all this time, and to put the citizenry in a high level of fear, because there's what whatever racial clan you belong to, everybody felt you know at the dick's ease at the crime situation.
You know, we
Everybody.
have seen a good return on the SOE, where I mean, the police is making progress, being that they have the fact that they don't have to get a warrant to search. You know, that is
Right.
increasing their chances. And I
Yeah.
mean, we've seen several illegal firearms were recovered and 5 men arrested during anti-crime exercise across Point Fortin, Guapo, Siparia, between Friday and Saturday.
And it's nice that you've seen it across the country, because the last couple of days it was only the north and central, and now they're moving out to the southwest and south. So it's not like to say a particular race is being targeted, or a particular UNC or PNM area is being targeted. It's all over. So again, where does the racial talk come about from other than the PNM?
Exactly. So this, I mean, this is evidence that showing you that the criminality is existing throughout the country,
It's
and
everywhere. It's everywhere. And all of society is affected. Doesn't matter whether rich or poor, living in a posh area or downtrodden area and so on. It doesn't matter. It's criminality is all over Trinidad and Tobago, all over. You see guys, you don't have brand certain places, but you see guys from Laventilla being held in penal. What are they doing there? Or guys in Maloney being held in Siparia. What are you doing there? So it's all they all have that network. And I think the SOE which was called, is really to target the criminal
well,
elements.
well, it's giving the police
How
what to
the
say,
authority
the
to
authority. I mean,
legally,
you have you remove the warrant situation and
yes.
restriction, and the police can proceed. If they have reasonable doubt to stop somebody, they can without, and they have a reasonable doubt to go search a property, they can.
So the outcomes were clearly identified. What was the role of this SOE in
And we've seen
comparison to
results. We've seen drastic results, especially with this new commissioner of police here, which I'm very
right?
proud of so far.
But it was a specific target. The target was crime and criminality in TNT, whereas the other SOEs was a broad brush, you know, and this is the difference. So this one is very focused what they're planning to do, and is based on intelligence reports as well. So I think the UNC is doing an excellent job in starting and continuing with the crime fight this time around. You know, there will be certain fallouts, like in everything else. There are certain segments of the economy that may be tarnished a little bit in other ways, but that's the
But
fallout of
the see
trade.
the article from Dave Tank talking about harsher penalties and stuff like that. But what we also need is very effective response and patrolling from the police that we need that will.
Yes. Hello? I guess the call dropped. Ari. Anyway, I didn't. I was talking more like the various sectors in the country. Let's say, and once your country is tagged as one having a state of emergency, foreigners begin to look at it, from a different perspective. Oh, with a state of emergency in TNT, no, it's not safe to travel and go there for either vacation, a holiday, or any sort of business activity. So from that perspective is what I was speaking about, the so-called peripheral impact on other sectors of the economy. That Maybe so. It's very negligible. I think the major sector that may be affected from this may be tourism in Tobago. This being the holiday season, where a lot of schools and so on, Tobago is generally.
You refer to the SOE, which puts no restriction on people. So this SOE has no curfew, so it does
It,
not affect. In fact, it increases the security, so you should feel more safe
more
because of the
safe.
level of security that has upgraded with more patrolling taking place. So this SOE, it will, increases
It's
your
targeted.
your
That's what
comfort.
this is the point I'm saying. It is a very targeted for a specific sector rather than uh,
Welcome, Dr.
a
Maraj.
broad, rather than a broad brush. So the only thing, as I say, certain sectors will have some negativity coming out from it, especially like foreign investments and so on. Because once you hear the word state of emergency, you begin to think twice. You, as a foreigner,
Well,
either
we should add
travel
to it
there.
the state of increased security and protection.
Yeah. Um, for the local side of it, I guess free movement, nothing has been curtailed, right? You can move around freely and so on. And as I said, this being the July August vacation period, a lot of Trinidadians go to Tobago because it's the closest and cheapest place to take their families across. So this will not be impacting a lot on the tourism side at this point in time because again it's
Whenever you feel, Dr. Maraj, you can jump in.
What are you guys talking about? Or trying to pick up? I don't know.
is talking about the same FUL
He's
Okay.
continuing the
Oh,
discussion.
uh, and
yeah.
looking at the legislation and I don't know if you had a chance to listen to Anand Logan yesterday in Vice
No, no, I did not.
and Dave Tankui mentioned the penalties associated, 500,000.
Stiffer penalties, but what I'm saying to you is that would not scare criminals. We need the enforcement part from the police.
Yes,
Yeah,
agreed.
where we step up the patrol like how we're doing right now, and the increased security that's taking place.
But again, enforcing the death penalty part of it is good legislation. And that if that do not scare them, then we're really going through as a nation.
I am telling you right now that does not scare, and these guys won't scare them. What we
No,
need
I
is the
think that
boots on the ground, the boots on their face, the boots responding effectively and patrolling effectively.
that's one side of it, and that has to be done. But you remember when last did they hang or kill or implemented the death penalty in Trinidad? I bet you started with 25 of them next week. The whole country started to think differently. Is that nobody has really had the cojones to do it. And that's why I'm saying that deterrent as part of the legislation, and that has to be done, you know, within a week or so of it being convicted. Don't let it linger on for, like, as I said before, 10 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, and then want to hang somebody. Get rid of them within a week, you know, if they are guilty. So
But you
this,
see, the thing about we have to be careful with that because a lot of evidence have proven to be, not good as it claimed to be, and we have seen that here in the United States, where certain things were fabricated, certain things were contaminated, certain things were not as it said it was, and so you can't really rush the death penalty on a person, even though you sentence them. The actual execution, you have to be careful because you have to give the opportunity for a person to prove their innocence.
but the question is in Trinidad, that has been going on for 15 and 20 and 25 years. You cannot put
You're
somebody
taking
else.
20 years to get a court case. So
So you see, then what is the sense of doing all of this if you cannot implement it, you know, in a speedier way? Because once you have circumstantial evidence, man, if they know that there's no death penalty and I'm joining the queue, to wait 20 and 25 years, then these guys will continue doing what they're doing. So you have to create that disincentive for them to commit this crime. And as said before, don't just take the police word. Let it be these records, these investigations, back it up with your technology and have it, as well countersigned by senior officers and so on, and then save it electronically. So when the police, what the police does though, when they do the investigations, and if it's a, so and so called case of friendship and so on, they got monies to not show up the day the case is called, and then the case is thrown out. So what happens? Or the policeman is on holiday. Case is called, no evidence is there. So that's why I say you let it be backed up by the technology, so you have whether it's an audio clip or whatever is in writing, you keep that digitally stored, so you can refer to the evidence there. I don't want it to be a case where so and so Fred, oh child boy, you know what? Me, I ain't going to get no evidence inside. I'll take leave, man. I'll go up the Caribbean for a holiday, and your friend gets away. No, it cannot be like that. It has to be always a backup source. So even though the policeman is not there to give you evidence, the evidence is there. It's stored somewhere. And the only way it's stored is electronically. Because half the time the files are missing. The evidence is missing. Either rat eat it, they can't find it. Even the AG couldn't find the files, but after the case is finished, they find the files. Then what happens? The last
conveniently, right? The files went missing conveniently because we're dealing with a syndicate.
So we have to ensure that as part of this legislation, these things have to go hand in hand to make it as foolproof as possible as far as evidence goes.
You see, last night we were discussing the same issue about, I think Gary mentioned just now about the penalty, which is, I think this says is $500,000 and 20 years or 25 years, or both. I think both. It could be both. It should be both, I think. I was saying last night that, the act, they could have the act, or whatever they call it, the Standard Ground Law, Standard Ground Act, or whatever they're calling it. But you have to have regulations to go with your act. The regulations would say how the act is to be applied, what kind of penalty will you have to go, what powers the magistrate have, can he go beyond that? You got to give him more power than that. Some people could go even life for home invasion. Life is not beyond. It should be more than, minimum should be 20 years and 25 years and 25 years, I think, for when you people who are aged and disabled and children and all in the home. So that's where the 25 years coming, but it should be 25 years to life. They gotta do better than that. So in terms of meting out penalties and punishments, the magistrate should not have much leeway. He should be given a minimum and up to a maximum, but the minimum should not be too minimum so he can abuse. I was saying last night that the regulation should be very tight, and we don't want much discretionary powers on behalf of the police and even the court system, so they could dance around and footsie around with a serious matter such as home invasion. Listen, there is no bigger crime in the world than home invasion. The home is the place where you're supposed to rest, and you're supposed to be shielded from all activities on the outside. Once you're home, you even run under your bed to be more safe, because home, there's nothing more home safe than being home. And if someone enters your property and invalidates that homeliness, there should be stiff penalty by yourself or by the state. So that is what I hope coming out of all of this. Plenty talk and no action is not good.
Correct.
Some of you talking about the penalty of hanging. They have a little problem with that because once you go to the Privy Council, because Trinidad still believe in the Privy Council. So perhaps if you cannot have the death penalty, life sentence for a lot of crimes that they give you easy 10 years and 15 years. It should be like life, so 30 years to life or something like that. Some
But
set of a top end that is like really almost close to death penalty.
Doc, that is it. That is what is proposed in the legislation: 20 years,
Yes.
and 500,000. But if you kill someone during a home invasion, is $750,000, 25 years, or the death penalty.
Or the death penalty. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that is fair. That's a good legislation. That's not no bias. But what you are saying is quite right. It shouldn't be, there shouldn't be not much leeway
Right.
either for the police or from the legal
Oh,
system to
yeah.
delay this thing,
Yeah.
because your home is viewed as your castle, which is old English law. You know, this
Yeah.
is your castle. You are the man in charge of your own house, so to
Yes.
speak, right?
Yes.
Any invasion, any sort of people come and jump over your wall and so on, right away you have infringed my castle, you know. So at that point, it should not be discretionary for me to prove, as it is right now under the existing law, that you know what, man, I have to wait for this guy who has jumped over the wall, who is at my back door and trying to break down my door, and I cannot do anything. Because if I were to shoot him there, I am the one who has to be questioned.
But
So,
keep in mind, it's a few of them that comes. Like in this situation, it was six of them that went to Anand's cousin's house,
yes,
and some were jumping the fence, some were knocking the, on the window. I mean, there were different location they are, and if I mean, fortunately, he used his brain and he fired at the window, and then he went to another window and fired. So they thought there was more than one guy really shooting at them, and they fled. So the police telling him they want to see the footage of his surveillance camera so he could prove his innocence. I mean, what bullshit?
that's
What?
what I'm
I
saying.
mean, they should
So,
fire that police to do that. We kept those kind of people. This is the nonsense. You see, like I told you, from the days of Bades when he tell Eric William there was 245 at the time, and he had 245 in the parliament. The Eric William made sure that certain people didn't have weapons to defend themselves. And then we saw where the weapons were at. And who has the weapons. So now, I mean, all the criminals on the street have the weapons. The law-abiding citizens don't have the weapons. And the police giving you a hard time to get a weapon. You have to pay $50,000 bribe to get a weapon, and a whole set of dance around, and you have to know a partner here and a partner there. That kind of nonsense, that kind of corrupt system has to be, eliminated. We have to put an end to this nonsense.
the fact of the matter is that we have to,
Go ahead,
if
Dr.
it's
Marak, when
serious,
you're ready.
if
Yeah.
it's
Okay. Yeah. So I was saying then. Last night, Doctor
Ramrup,
Rupchan
Ramrup.
Dr. Ramrup mentioned about some important items, really, and because he's very involved, much more than I thought. I mean, in a lot of stuff in Trinidad. He's an excellent resource to be close to all of us, all Trinidad people, and including ourselves. But when I raised the issue last night about if you shoot someone in a home, they will confiscate your firearm, and I was raising that issue that I said that is not fair, because legitimately I have a right to defend myself and my property, and I would be scared now not to have a firearm in my possession from the next day or the same night after everybody leave and leave me alone, I will feel
Yeah,
undefended.
this criminal could have some partners so he could come back if he get bail.
Right,
Right.
right, exactly. Right. So that I was telling Dr. Ramrup that last night, that they should have a sort of a temporary replacement firearm while they're sorting out your original firearm in the lab and the forensic test and all of that. So I was making that, and I think Dr. Ramrup must have never heard that before. Maybe never heard that before about having a replacement firearm. So I think that was a good idea. But here's something that is bothering me with all of this. I read the just before I was coming on you all, I was reading because I just got a copy of the Guardian that was sent to me from Trinidad. I know Gary sent it sometimes, but I get from Trinidad. And as usual, I usually like to dip into the editorial page, and you know what they're saying. They're saying that today is the anniversary of the 1990 coup, and right now we have another state of emergency. No doubt that would have been subtly playing into the reason for having this SOE around this time, because some people like to celebrate on occasion with another occasion and that sort of thing. So I guess that, but the papers are saying nothing has changed since 1990. You know what these people are saying? They're saying that we are in a situation that could happen again. How many papers know what the hell is saying?
Well, who is
But
the papers?
that is very true.
Let me
That
ask
is
you,
very true.
who is the papers?
We're in a situation definitely where it could happen again.
Yes, yeah, yeah. But
Because the criminals are
so
even more so equipped. In them days, the thing Bakar was equipped. We have people that are more sophisticatedly equipped now.
so 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 let me. The question I have for them is where they have been all this time for the past 35 years. So you're now asking this government to pick up the mantle to correct every ill of why the hell you didn't talk all along last year and year before and 10 years and 15 years
Government have
back.
to fix everything. We have to
You
fix
asking this
everything.
government now to fix this situation because nothing have changed. Therefore, now it's time to start changing it. What the hell all you come from? The Guardian is has the longest history of reporting, being the official record keeping of the Trinidad society. And you coming out to say nothing has been done and the stuff still remain? We have no institution. Oh, even signal like they just come. The Trinidad Guardian just came. They were not here before. They have no shame.
They wasn't. They wasn't there. They wasn't
You
there.
Yeah,
on-
Or
so
they not wake up. Maybe they
you
not.
asking this government asking this government to do so many things, and 5 years they will still throw them out. So they will they will set the house in order, and then you pell them out the house.
but that is what they want to do. That's what happened in 2010. That's what happened in
Yeah.
1986. That's
So
what,
they fix it, and then they pell them out. They go do the same thing now, fix the house, and then pell them out.
that is exactly the point. I always say that.
Yeah.
That
Get the
nothing has
EBC
changed.
to ambush the government, right? Get the EBC to ambush the government, pull the race card. I mean, let me tell you something. It had people, huh? Yeah. It had people were saying that their stomach was getting sick, but the amount of Indians in the government administration, not that the fact that the job they were getting done, not that the fact that the job that they was getting done, they were getting sick by the amount of Indians in the government administration in the 2010 to 2015
Yeah,
PPP
correct.
administration.
Correct.
Not focused on the level of performance. All right, and you see here with Marvin Gonzalez, I mean, lashing out that he had a problem with the ethnic.
Balance of all these boards and everything. But here, let me just digress a little bit.
No, I'm not done yet.
Okay, let's
Go
continue
ahead,
then.
go ahead, go ahead,
Yeah, I'm
Doc.
not
Go
done
ahead,
yet.
Doc.
No.
Doc,
Hold
you
on.
go ahead. Roll.
You roll along, roll along.
Yeah. So if they want this government to fix everything, fine. But then why don't you give them a recipe? You've been here before this government, you've been here forever. Why don't you give them the recipe of how to do it? No, give no recipe. All that they said is that the institution has to change and we have to do this and we have to, everybody in Trinidad know, and we have Trinidad people, I know my friend Ned, he's a good guy too. But everybody in Trinidad know everything and they never get the damn thing done. So today's the 35th anniversary. They're saying that nothing has changed. Where you been all this time? I should say nothing has changed. You living there all the time and you're asking this government to make the change. You're asking the institutions have not changed. The situation like they are. And they went on to even say, I remember they were talking about the Prime Minister from India was here and we do this and we do that and we do the next. And a woman, she meant well, but she says that perhaps they should have given me a chance for the opposition leader. I know Gary won't like to hear this, but I just reporting what I read in The Guardian just before I came on today. I'll talk about Iroma Tour a little later on, sometime again. But let me just leave her out. But I'll talk about the situation in Trinidad.
Don't lose the thought. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Don't stop.
Yeah, no, I don't want to branch away what I'm saying right now. So this, he has a serious problem. That's why I started this way by saying, when one invades your home, that's the worst crime could ever happen. You know, if someone mugged me on the street, I could understand I have the right to be on the street or maybe in the wrong place at the wrong time or blah, blah, blah. But in your home, you could never be at the wrong place at the wrong time. That is always the right place for you and your family. Go home, run. We always say, go home, boy, don't make any trouble. Because home is the place of refuge for yourself, your family, and those who under the roof. So when someone walks in and destroys that sanctimony, that sanctuary where you take refuge in, and some 6 people walk into your house and invade your property, damage you, this and I let me tell you something. I think I must have said this before you all. My grandmother gave my mother a bearer. I think I said this a very long time ago, told you all this. And
say it again, don't worry. Say it again.
Yeah. My grandmother, who came from India, gave my mother a bearer, which she gave to those bearers, very heavy. I think I was telling you all 28 carat is the highest carat, the reddish kind of gold. I remember she used to be waiting in her right hand. Maybe she had 2 or 1, but I remember one in her right hand. She gave that bearer to my sister. My sister she was down holidaying up in Valsayn, and there's where the home invasion took place, where my sister was tied up also. And they took the bearer, they took a lot of stuff and things that came out of heritage of when my parents came from India. Things that the took away from what is saving for a lifetime and grandparents' savings in a house. The bandit came and took it from the sanctuary, from the home, from my home. So you could see why I'm saying that it should be life without parole. Life in jail for home invasion. It is more serious than I think they're looking at it. Even the current government not seeing it the way I'm seeing it. That's the article I wrote and it appeared in the these things I'm saying appeared in the checklist, the UNC checklist. When the invasion happened in Valsayn, but my sister was living by her daughter. Her daughter lives there. She came up to spend some days, some wedding, wherever they went to. So this home invasion is the worst crime, and stand your ground should be protected. You should revive that. There has to be a serious dent for anyone to take a chance to come in your home. You know, there's burglary. Burglary is when someone enter your home at night, between the hours of sleep, in the sleeping hours, like up to 5 o'clock in the morning. I think it's called sleeping hours. But these bandits used to hide and making sure that it's creep in and creep out because they don't want to be seen. This is not what you're having. You have plunderers plus killers. They come in and snatch you. So do what you want. You can't do anything but don't shut up. I'll kill you if you don't talk. So this is much worse than burglary. Burglary is mild compared to what this home invasion is. And why are you choosing 6 people? They're not moving in 2 and 1 and 2, they're moving in gang. This is warfare. The only time you do this is when you're going to fight war. This is an internal, so this is an internal fight. So you have a war, against the criminal versus the victims. And why they taking it for you? Because you accumulated wealth over 100 years and you have saved up a whole lot. If I attack your home, I have a lot. I have a harvest, a big time harvest to get. All I have to do is to hold up one house or two houses like this for the year, and I good forever. And I could do that, live happily. Why work? Just walk in and take it from somebody's house. Look, you have this, you have that. Take it from you and walk away. And when they can't tote it, they even give me a car. Give me your two car. Give me the two car because the amount of stuff I'm taking in my house, I need some help. So they use the car and they move away with the things. That's what they did in Balsain there. They used the car. They couldn't carry all in their own car, so they used my sister's, my niece's car and drove off with some stuff they picked up. They couldn't carry them all away. So this is a gut punch. This is a punch. It's like saying, you know what? Kill me. And at one point, my niece was telling me, she says, look, kill me and take what you want. Look, there's no sense I live anymore. Look, I am ready to go. And they're ready for the killer. And then they're asking her for the code and they can't remember. When in the confusion, they really can't remember the code. It's not the way to look for a key. They have a code. And you can't remember all this sort of thing happened to you. You can't remember the code anyways. More blows. More you can't remember, more blows you're getting. This is really manslaughter. This is crime, genocide. This is genocide. So if I am angry because the previous government never see the way I'm seeing it, because they're too low dodges, they're too low-minded, they're too simplistic, they're too myopic to look deep into how these things are happening. Why? Because they didn't came out of the same system that I came out. And I'm telling you that this government will have to do it because like nobody else is willing. Everybody talk, including the 1%ers. The 1%ers are well hide up. How much? One last year, how 1%er lose. They have more money than my family, but they won't go there because they know they won't come out alive. So
Exactly. And
I don't think that
and it's a
Trinidad people
security
are not
right to defend
angry enough.
themselves.
They had to be more angry. They had to get more angry about this. And because really the PNM is, like I said last night, the the previous government, the previous government was more interested in peace among the gangs than it was about securing the interests and welfare of its average citizens who are victims of this manslaughter, this murderous behavior by a section of the society. And they have to defend the victim must be defended. And the PN was unable to defend the victims. They're more interested in defending the criminals. And that is why we cannot support them. Not forever. I think Gary said this many times. Not forever. We don't want these people to come back unless they have a complete renaissance, which doesn't seem impossible. So go ahead, guys. Sorry.
No, well, I tell you what, should this legislation be debated,
Yeah.
you bet your bottom dollar that the opposition is not going to support this,
Yeah.
which will lend credence to what you are saying,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's going to let that they will prefer this fester along because they already pushing the notion is mommy, nice boy is going to get locked up. They may turning it into a racial issue. This is what it's all about. So they will never support this legislation.
Have you seen some of how these people when the police go in their neighborhoods, how viciously the police are attacked
Yes,
in
yes.
some of these
Mm-hmm.
communities there, and the police are not any different race than them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the police are so viciously attacked. That I mean, they have no fear. These people have no fear. They could attack the police in any which way they can. This is not a generation of when we was growing up, but these people are fearless. They could kill the police. They have better gun than the police in a lot of these circumstances, and there are people benefiting from these robberies and kidnappings, and that's why you see that they act like that. And the thing about it, I think why we experiencing the situation. Some people have preached among their children that the hard working people in the country that work to better their lives took something from them. You understand that we rob them. So that is why they coming back to rob us, and so it's like we thief something from them. The little stint that Pandey had, we raped the treasury. The little stint that Kamala had, we raped the treasury. but the Exxon number of years, the 35 years that PNM there, they didn't do that, right? That is so. There's a mentality there, that justify their course of action, and that is why we see some of these situations taking place, and you will see you try to talk about citizens defending themselves, and you're attacking innocent people, and they want to kill innocent people, children, but your children could come in my house, kill my mother, rape my daughter, and nothing said, right? No protests, no protests, right? But we talking about defending yourself, and all of a sudden they make it a racial thing. Well, maybe you are telling us that all the criminals are one kind of people. Is that what you're trying to tell us? Are you trying to tell us that the criminals are one kind of people? Think about what they're saying. So, I mean, we have seen in the country that all races of people have been attacked in the country, robbed, raped. I mean, the business the hardworking people in the country, regardless of their race, cannot even operate the simplest business without getting brutalized by these criminals in the country. And they have a right to defend themselves. They have a right to defend their business, and they have a right to defend their property, and they have a right to be safe within the compound of their home. And you have a right to be safe on the street. You have a right to go to the bank and take out your money and walk away. And you have a right to defend yourself if somebody attacks you while you're doing that. Go ahead, Dr. Miraj or Mr. Singh.
Oh yeah, because the more you all mention these things, I'm trying to figure out, you know, the reason why I think I mentioned the reason why they're pushing the race talk is because anytime you have a big tent mentality, anytime you see the races in Trinidad getting together, that is not good for the PNM and it's not good for the one percenters. Because the PNM and the one percenters are in cahoot, they are in a symbiotic relationship so that they get along well. Because the instrument of oppression by the one percenters is done through the People's National Movement, and indeed when they in power. The purpose of them is really to fix up the 1% and a certain section of their people, so to speak, or the voters call it that, so that they could keep on winning no matter what every year. Never mind they're not doing anything. All that they need to do is to win, 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 and nothing else. Nothing else gets done. And so you have these people
Throw you a little,
who,
throw you a little crumbs, a little wine and dine, and you seem to be good with that, and your children have nothing for the rest of your life.
right. So that's the point I'm coming to now. So you have these poor races of poor people who supporting you from way back in the 50s and the 60s. The grandchildren are supporting you. And these people, grandparents will CPAP or URP or whatever, depending on the state and the government and the PNM government to survive. That is why you see the PNM is saying now that we will defend them at all costs because these unemployed people are our people. We have them poor, so they will depend on us. I hope those people are taking note because the reason why they want to help these people is because if these people become liberated, the PNM lost forever. Anytime those followers that keep on following the PNM get liberated, they will throw them out. So you see how much of them got liberated recently. At least they're making a step. They say, you know what? I ain't
Their
convinced to go to
children,
work.
their children. You see, this liberation came because the young people, the young Afro trainees, stood up and said they're not taking that.
They said, right. So they say, you know what? Since I don't want to work as my parents, I ain't going to vote. I would stay home because if I go to vote, I'm not voting PNM anyway. So I might as well stay home and at least live up to the willingness or the wishes of my grandparents and parents because all they know is the Ballinger and nothing else. And therefore, this system that Trinidad found, that's why the papers is unforgiving. I won't be able to forgive them for the things that they're saying. This dependency syndrome has been perpetuated since the fifth, even before it went back earlier in colonial times, but the PNM government, which took over from the colonial government, never bothered the changes. because they benefited on that poverty, that underclass. That class of people that depend on housing from the government, that depends on everything from the government. That's the class they're defending now. That what they call 10,000, how much thousand they talk about that the UNC didn't, because they fired the contractors who were illegal or whatever you. So this is the same underclass that the PNM have been keeping year after year, until someday they're going to rise up against the same PNM. We hope it was going to happen. We hope it happened in 2010. We even hope it happened during the Robinson days. But it didn't. That is why the 1990 coup came around, because Robinson was giving them the medicine which was good for them, but they're not prepared to take the medicine which in the long run will be better for them. No, they didn't want that. They want the quick and the easy way out. Give me a bread. Never mind. Forget about tomorrow. Just give me the bread and let me go. So they keep on feeding down the bread. They're throwing bread at them and they keep half a loaf. They could give them a whole loaf, but they gave them half. So then, so what, I got to take the half because they are better than nothing. So they keep on voting PNM, taking half a bread. And that PNM had them down. They keep them down. And that is the root of the evils in Trinidad and Tobago, which everybody talking about, all kind of poverty. The poverty is planted because of the policies of the PNM. What the hell are you come asking? But don't look back. Don't look back into no history for 200 years and 300 years. Look back in 20 and 30 years and 40 years. Since this PNM took over, what have they done for you? Let the PNM voters ask them that. What have that was the PNM done for you? Nothing except to keep you in poverty, give you half a loaf and keep you with bread and water like you're in prison. You're in jail out. You're talking about jail. You have your life is not getting better each day. It's getting worse. That is why you turn to crime. Because the PNM have you like that. Why don't you see that, people? Let the social scientists in the university were saying everywhere come out and tell the people like it is. The reason why you are poor, because the people you have in power have kept you down, and therefore if you get liberated, you will vote them out and they want you to be liberated. Does that make sense to you, someone? Anybody ever said that to you before, what I'm saying? Or first time you're hearing it? Let me hear it. Know that, right?
I have heard that several times, but I'll tell you what.
Yes.
That university is a peppy university. When PNM in power, you never hear them saying anything. All the professors did. I don't care which one. You name them. Where's the social science? Now I'm hearing they're saying, you know what this is a story today? The state boards have to be, we have to revisit the composition of the state boards. Ready? Where was you 10 years ago? You were in a state board, several state boards. The guy who is saying that from the university, he's saying that we need to revisit the composition. But for the past 10 years, he had PIP. They had never had a voice. They were all silent. A couple of them in the criminology department, again, now they have a voice. Before the past 10 years, they were all silent. Why? You saw exactly what you're saying. They are total waste of time, or they may be intelligent persons. Then why didn't you speak out in 2015 to 2025? Where was your voice then? Or you suddenly realize that the state boards and so on appointed by the UNC should have, representation according to the guy, to let it be a more equity, there be more equity into it.
What do you mean by equity?
But their meaning for equity is all based on pigmentation of the skin.
That's crap. That's crap talk.
That is exactly
it's plenty crap.
It's pigmentation of the skin, not ability, not your ability or your competence. It all depends.
So why do we want to have state boards in the first place? Government cannot do anything well, and therefore privatize it. So let's go back to square one. You cannot kill the initiative of a people. That is what is causing the problem in Trinidad. And they talk about that paper is talking about what we've been doing for the past 35 years. What have you been saying or doing for the past 35 years? That nothing has changed. In fact, it changed for the worse. You have done nothing. Not us people, honest people like us. It's us who trying to grab a living and make something out of what we have. It's you in power and position didn't help. You and your government. Because you, the papers kept them alive because they are the 1%ers, representing the 1%ers. So
Absolutely.
if you want to talk about equity on state boards, first of all, it should have no state board because state board can't do anything. Show me which enterprise is running for profit. The gas system, what the natural gas only because the way gas is in the guaranteed market, in the international market, that you have guaranteed prices for natural gas and petroleum. Other than that, they could be running out of if they had to be competing in the world outside there for gas demand and supply, they would not be able to make it. The National Gas Company of Trinidad will also be running at a loss. But because of the way the market is set up with the OPEC and all kind of things, they could show profit. And very often there's an international firm that is extracting the oil from the ground. That is why they show profit. So what the state board is doing, you all have no damn initiative. You can't do anything. None of them in Trinidad is qualified to run a business. Tell me which one of them. The last one must have done a little bit, maybe this guy who went belly up. Look at a smart guy that could really run business in Trinidad. I don't know where they have him now. But Jack Warner, that's a great man. Hardy Hardnarain, great people. What was saying? They have them done Dan Seal. There are many histories of great entrepreneurs in Trinidad, but that's a few and far in between. We need 100. That is, so you want to talk about state board composition? You should have composition in terms of those who have come to bring onto the table. What is your capacity to add value on this table? Not be race. You're talking. You know why you're talking race? Because you have no value to add. You can only look at race and look around. That means you're bankrupt. You have nothing to offer except the negative. Because if you say the composition means pigmentation and composition and biological, and what about mental? What about physical? What about financial? Those you shouldn't come to the board if you have money. Bring money to the board. Bring money here. We should have people on this board who could put $1 million on to help to bail us out from this company. Then you come on the board. Bring your money and then talk. What crap you talking? University there, West Indies do nothing. How much of them? Let me ask them fellas at the university something. I hope they could hear this. How much of them plant a pepper tree in the back of the house? Put up your hand. How much of them plant a tomato tree in the back of the house? Put up your hand. You're talking to we must do this and we must do that and we must do the next. How much of them have a kitchen garden in the back? How much of them to buy local instead of buying foreign? So you're preaching and talking in your classroom and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing because you're going along with the crowd. Do show them how to operate. Don't tell the student how to do a business. Show them how to do the business. Open and come and see the business I operate. On weekends, come and work for me. I'll show you how to do business. So what sort of state board talk being on state board? State board is lazy people talk. You have nothing to add to no value to bring to this table. Why we putting you on this board? Because you're black, you're white, brown, yellow, or cream or green? That should never be a conditional qualification. You have to bring something, and I hope the UNC is bringing their own people, but their own people of substance, which I know they have plenty of.
We are bringing the people of substance, and the thing about it is, we could not say, not that damn dog could bark when the PNM operating the business, but now they want to talk. Anyway, listen, Doctor, let me play something for you here. There's some new developments with Exxon Mobil, and Dr. Munilal is making some headway with our new government in progress of things. So just listen to a second here. Hold on a second. ExxonMobil has entered preliminary talks with the government of Trinidad and Tobago, exploring the possibility of drilling in up to 7 deep water blocks off the country's east coast. The negotiations mark what could be a major return for ExxonMobil, 2 decades after exiting Trinidad and Tobago in 2003, following an unsuccessful exploration attempt. The areas of interest lie just north of the prolific Stabroek Block in Guyana, home to more than 11 billion barrels of recoverable oil and gas resources, discovered by Exxon and its partners, Hess and CNOOC. Production there is expected to approach 900,000 barrels per day later this year, cementing its role as one of the world's fastest growing oil provinces. Back in Trinidad, the government under the leadership of Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar is aggressively courting new offshore investment to boost the gas output, critical to its LNG and petrochemical industries.
Although a deep water auction is currently underway and set to close on September 17, the blocks Exxon is eyeing fall outside of that process. Under existing legislation, the government can negotiate directly for unlicensed acreage, opening the door for ExxonMobil to secure nearly all of the country's remaining ultra deep water blocks if a deal is finalized. The move would not only strengthen Trinidad and Tobago's upstream portfolio, but also extend ExxonMobil's strategic dominance across the Southern Caribbean energy corridor.
Fine. You guys hear that?
Yeah.
Yes, I heard it. There has to be some clarity on this, further clarity on it.
But our government is making progress, and the our government is more enticing for investment to come in, whether it's in the oil industry or whatever it is. So, I mean, we have seen within the few months of Dr. Rowley administration where business was leaving, right? And there had to be some reason for that. There had to be their level of arrogance or whatever it is. But we are seeing things happening, and within a short few months of our government being, there's so many things that for as creating revenue stream from the Ministry of Energy that Dr. Munilal is working on. It's wind energy. There's so many things that are opportunities that have been presented itself. So there's a lot of things going to be happening. But go ahead, gentlemen, with the conversation now.
Yeah, well, okay, nice that they're getting oil and this and that. And so the problem is still there. So they could get oil, they could not get oil. The problem is the problem in Trinidad is not only foreign exchange, which is very helpful. The problem is the dealing with a society that is not ready to launch themselves into the 21st century. They're still in many of them still, the PNM is still in 1990s, 1956 and on 60s and all that. They're way behind. They're talking about things like the old-fashioned thing where they're talking about AI and all kinds of stuff. They're not there ready, but and they can't leapfrog anyway because they're still in 101. They're still in CPEP because you're stuck in CPEP. You can't get any for you if you're still stuck in the people. That tells you where your mind is. That would tell you where your psyche is. That you can't go very far because you're still talking about looking for people to work in CPEP. CPEP is that their job. That is not. That's not a career. You have no damn shame after grandchildren, after you fool the grandparents, fooling the grandchildren. As Gary and they said, I hope these grandchildren will rebel permanently because we don't want to hear come 2030 you're removing this government to put back that old worn out, dilapidated, no good. One, I think Gary just said a description the other day about the PNM, whatever kinds of stuff. I can't remember all the words that he used. But they're bankrupt mentally, physically, otherwise. What are you talking about communal state board? You have no ideas. You were there so long. So many state boards you on. You on the state board since 1956, and you have not done anything good. Most of them went under. Common state board successful these days.
Is the same scenario where another party wins and they want to rule from underneath?
That's it. Yeah, because they believe they're born to be king and queen. They want to be king and queen, King Isabella and Queen Madela, whatever the hell they call them. They want to be king and queen all the time, and they want and they are all. So they have two things they're doing. They're fooling these poor people, and fooling them for votes and for half a bread, and the 1%ers they're keeping them on the side to finance them. So they're siphoning the money from the savings for the poor people. They're passing it on to the richer folks. And that is a society they built for you. So the papers is talking about nothing has changed. Tell them why it hasn't changed. Tell them what the scenario is. Tell them the truth. Tell them why this is like this is. Don't only tell them to nothing have changed. Nothing has changed. You know why? Because you like it so. You are the 1%. You represent the 1%ers. Is this the editorial I read just now that is getting me like this? But really?
No, I understand clearly, Doc. You go ahead. You got all the time to say what you have to say.
Yeah. This is I'm not done. So it's nice to see Munilal and them doing the thing, but because they had to, they had to chew gum and walk, because while they're fighting the PNM on the side, they had to still fight for the country. So they have two enemies. Well, not really one enemy that is trying to choke them off, while they're trying to survive. So is this enemy trying to choke off the wind in the sail while they're trying to survive. So they have to kick out the enemy and keep on kicking at them and keep them at bay. And while you keep on doing for the people, and the people are going to reward you because the people must see it. And that's why I told you all in the beginning that this government will have to also do PR. I think at one point Dr. Ramrup was saying that, and I may be following what I might be saying every night nearly, that you have to do you have to be good at your PR. You have to follow up on your PR. Because in the end, you have to win the political game. You could be smart on the board, and you could bring the best people on the boards. And what sense when 5 years come they pelch out? Because all these people talking about they're getting sick and tired. I don't want to get sick and tired when they're spelling people winning year after year. Maybe they should say they're sick and tired of all them children from all over South Asia coming out winning in America. And all the medical doctors coming here and beating them, and you see them on the ways all the time doing cancer research, and some of them are surgeon general and taking big position. I wonder if they're getting sick in Trinidad. Those people, they were sick when they look at the press. They look at so much Indians are doing great things around here. They should get sick. They're only getting sick for Trinidad. Why they get sick? They have a permanent sick disease. Their disease is the racial ISIS. Where's my doctor friend? The racial ISIS. And that sounds like a nice disease, that the parasite.
something Parun would say, right?
yeah. That's Parum language. You neutralize them. He said, "Don't kill them."
But what I played the opportunity developing back with the refinery and the oil business is that the government is being mocked about getting the funding to provide the promises, and I am showing here that the opportunity is developing very fast for us to create that to generate that revenue stream, so that we can provide and meet the demands and the promises and the needs of the people. The only thing it will take is for us, which we always do, which a UNC government always do, is manage that very efficiently so the needs of the people are met, right? And so we're going to see the things that we would like to do for the country, the things that we would like to put in place, the tools that we would like to put in place that will cost some money, that we will have that revenue stream to meet those demands. And there we have an opportunity to build our country for all the people.
Right. So you know why?
Right,
So
gentlemen.
let's go back to let's go back to the race talk. We ain't done with that one yet. So they're saying that the composition of the board must have. They only talk about sociological definition. Like let me show the color of your skin, as someone said. Or let me see the color of your hair, the
Yeah,
type
but
of hair you
they're not
have.
interested in the qualification and the capabilities.
Right.
They're
So
interested
that
in
is their
race.
qualification. Their qualification too is to be. Let me see the racial composition, and therefore this is a formative action they're looking at. So I look at me and judge me by what I have done and what I could do. So based on that, I qualify to be on a state board. I work with my parents in the fields. I went to school, I learned, and I built from what my parents have. One of my siblings remained in the father's business, and the rest of us moved out into our own affairs and did what we have to do. I didn't depend on no government for nothing. We just lived. So that is the Trinidad and Tobago dream that all of us grew up with in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and maybe the 80s too. So that is how I qualify to be on a state board. So if you have someone who have qualifications that can be on a state board, and one of the criteria you have to also belong to, are you prepared to support the government in their position of the day, is another qualification to get you on a state board. It's not only your brightness, it's not only X, Y, and Z and all of that to be fine, but it's also Are you willing to subscribe to the policies of the government of the day? Because you might put you on a state board and you work against me, and that will not be helpful for me, and therefore I would lose the next election. So do you qualify for those kinds of? This is not only racial, because I wouldn't. So you could be a black fellow and very nice and doing my policy. That's not very good idea. But you could be also a black fellow and working against my policies. So why would I want to put you on my board? You could call me whatever you're racist or not racist. It doesn't matter. You don't subscribe to my policies, so you wouldn't qualify. They had to take this into the open. Those who are using the racial thing, you have to answer them back in logical, developmental sense. You cannot be using their same yard game, because if you're using the same yardstick that they are using, you're not going to win, because they specialize in racism, and you're not specialized in that. So you have to come out of their specialty and go in your specialty, which is the capability to run a business. You have experience, you have training, you have expertise, and to beside, you know where to go from here. You have a good vision of the future, how to add value to this board that I'm sitting on. So that qualifies me to be on a board. That qualifies so many Indians and South Asians and Pakistanis and Bangladeshis who's in America doing so well. Those people in Trinidad who making this kind of, they might be very angry that these American people are jackasses, that they go take all these people from India and put them in a high position. What is wrong with these American people? They're crazy. So because Trinidad people are crazy to have all these Indians on board, because they're getting upset. So why, when they look at the spelling bee, why don't they should get, I hope they get really upset now. No, they should commit suicide in the process, because you have a problem with Indian people, you should commit suicide, because you're not making sense. You come a home invasion, you should be in suicide watch list, because you all have some kind of problem. Listen to this. The other one, I think Gary called him Gonzalez or Marvin Garvin or whatever the hell the name is. That guy have a zombie piece on him. He have to really, really come to grips with Trinidad and Tobago is a place for all of us, where every creed and race find an equal place.
Just the former Minister of National Security for a short term.
Shame on him. Shame on him. He should be the Minister of Laboratory. He should be Minister of Laboratory.
He was the Minister of Public Utilities, and we get the biggest amount of talk with him, and the worst service ever in the country. Like Barry's put it into shame so badly, it's not funny.
Okay, I withdraw. Laboratory is too high for him anyway, so leave him alone. I withdraw. No position for him.
By the way, he's chairman of the PNM.
Well, that answers my question. That tell you why we can't get anywhere. Because you taking the worst to be a chairman. You could have get some nice. Penny's a good girl. I would put a can in front of her and him any day. She's a smart girl. She would get herself a problem like him. He's just trying to make waves. That was telling he's the Minister of Laboratory. And he look like he's drunk in the laboratory right now. So that is why we fire him, because he can't make it in the laboratory. That is too good for him. That guy's making a lot. He's not making sense at all. He's talking crap talk. He's in the 1930s. Trinidad was not so. Look, Trinidad racial days was DLP and PNM, and yet still they get along well. The heydays of Trinidad racism was in the 1960s. They all had their own tribe to pull behind. The PNM pulled the tribe, and Rodrigo Capello pulled his tribe. But they all respected each other. They know you won't vote for me, you won't vote. They know. But they all respected each other, and there wasn't much racial talk like these fellas. They show me the composition of the board. The Indian people knew that once the PNM went on the Requilium, that they will have the power and they will have who on the state board. We know that we wouldn't be there, so nobody ever said anything. That's how it is. We never had no government. It's only when the NIR government took over, then we start to have a little freedom day.
Correct.
A little freedom began from then. We said, okay, we get a half a foot in. We might go a little further, and Panda give us 1 foot in. And therefore, we still have 1 foot out and 1 foot in. But now, today, we are, like I said many, many times in many speeches I gave, side by side, not one behind the other. We are Indo-Trinidadians, and they are Afro-Trinidadian, and whatever Sino and whatever Trinidadian we have again. But I am not an East Indian man living in Trinidad. I am an Indo-Trinidadian living in America. You could call me Indo-Caribbean if you like too. That's fine. But don't tell me I no Indian man or no East Indian man. I not come from no East. I come from Trinidad and Tobago. I am an Indo-Trinidadian. And if the African want to call themselves African, that's their business. But if if I were them, I would say also Afro-Trinidadian, like I am saying Indo, and we get along. So don't come to. I listen to somebody in some TV talking about he's an Indian man. We have no Indian man in Trinidad. It's either in somewhere in the reservation in United America called Indian, or they have somewhere some India part of India they call Indian. But we have no Indian man and no. You don't want to say African too. I don't think we have African, but that's for them to speak. We have no Indian man or no Eastern man in Trinidad. So they want to talk race. Let me talk race, man. I could talk race from now until tomorrow, next week. And I wouldn't get angry at all. We'll talk because we're talking sense. I mean, most of my black friends could be listening to what I'm saying now, but I'm not offending. I'm telling them like it is. They heard me. I mean, I had to say it. You know, they know. And my closest friend are African Trinidadian people. My good buddies, some of them we in business together. We have conversation. We advise people together. And Dr. Hamlet, I don't know if he's listening. I don't think he's listening, but he's one of my best friends. He's from Dabadi. No, sorry, Five Rivers. Nice fellow. Half you are a very nice boy. I came out of Rima. Also my vice president. No, not very nice boys. We get along really, really well up there. As you know, it's mostly Afro and mixed and Spanish and Orima is mixed, you know. So we have everybody right. So I came from that area. But I was born in the south, by the way.
With the way we live, that didn't matter to we who what person race
Right.
was and all that anything.
Right.
Just this bunch of illiterate idiots.
Right.
That
And that is why
this a relevant issue, and they try to make it more so now because they have an Indian prime minister.
Right. Oh yeah, because they want to pull the tribe. They want to pull the tribe and run around the tribe. They want to say there's something wrong with the tribe. What what too much curry you all eating? What's the matter with you all? The tribe, they can't hold on to the tribe. They're trying to lasso the tribe, and the tribe is trying to get away. But that is the tribe I'm speaking. I'm telling the tribe, don't let them lasso you. Cut the damn lasso. Run away from the lasso. When they throw,
they was more concerned how much roti Kamala give the people during her term from 2010 to 2050. Kamala give the people roti, and she give them more too. What you give the people? You take away every damn thing from the people, a bunch of idiots.
But they were the wrong.
They take away food from the people's mouth.
Right. Right.
And it wasn't just Indo-Trini. It was Afro-Trini they caused to suffer. That is why you see these people came out and lash out so hard without saying anything. I mean, I can't finish congratulate the people for this ambush and curtail they put on the PNM in this 2025 election.
Yeah. Yeah. Because and because like I'm saying tonight, I mean, everybody have to live, everybody have to find their way out. This kind of one penny in hand or 1 penny handout every day wouldn't do. There comes a time when this would not. You'll be found out. So even though they're making so much trouble, you could see that the people in Trinidad, the people who really on the breadline, they're not bothering with these people too much. But look, the people on the street hardly make it talking so much about race talk. It is those few people you just mentioned. Some of these PNM people who afraid to lose the following, who afraid to lose the sheep. So they had to throw the crumbs back at them and say, you wouldn't get half a loaf if you don't fight, if you don't come out, follow us, be with me. So that is why they're fighting. They're fighting hard to keep them. And even because they thought the former finance minister, when he talked, they will listen. So he is now talking a lot now. He's talking about how the UNC is doing this and the unemployment is now 12%. And you know how it's going on because all these people, them only looking at that 10,000 people who they can't find job for, who the UNC will take care of eventually.
Why do you talk about how much money he cannot account for and how?
Oh, he better talk about how much he have in the bank account. He got to run away.
Yeah,
he better run away.
The missing money. How much? $3 billion missing. And in fact, there's more so by now. And how money was allocated and not accounted for. He was the Minister of Finance, right? He ain't talking about that. We focusing on the few CPEP and URP people that were doing convenience a little bit because the government was trying to sort out the corruption issue, lack of accountability, the majority of that money never went to the people that are trying to rise up. The
So
majority of that money, in fact, Khadija was talking about it, where the somebody working in a convenience store was being paid out of CPF money.
so here's
They
what
not
I
the
would
money job.
here is what I would tell him. I would tell him that if you so care about his people, which I care about them too, go and open all that money you have under all you and your 1%ers bodies. Go with them and open a nice business somewhere, wherever in the maybe somewhere around the East West corridor that these people wherever you have them, most of them employed. Open some businesses and employ these people and they find some gainful employment. Give them a contract or let them have social services and healthcare and everything else and pay their unemployment insurance and into the NIS. And these people will be happy to have a nice, decent job. Do that. You all have, you and your brethren and them who benefit who feast at the trough of Trinidad financially. You bring your money out and open business and re-employ these people, and then I will give you good credit. I say, aha, boy, that's a good past minister. Probably he could qualify to come back again someday. Put your money where your talk is, man. Don't depend on government to help these people. You're not in government, so you can't help them. So help them on your own privately. That is why I'm telling you, when you start to do that, you're not in government, therefore you can't help nobody. Then you are useless. Because you must be able to help people in and out of government. What can
Yeah,
I
but
help you given?
show us how much people you did help while you was the Minister of Finance. Let me tell you something. The people transporting the school children, the taxi drivers and the maxi drivers and them was suffering for their money when they transport the school children, and they have to pay for fuel, they have to pay for the repairs of the vehicle, they have to live, and he suffered these people. Everybody from the time in both came as finance minister, he suffered everybody to get their money. All
No.
right, this shameless man. Okay, but you see, they're trying to spin things and duck. We have to fire back at them. We can't give them a break. We have to step right back at them when they fire the nonsense. We have to call them out. We have to call them out.
And did you notice how this same guy you're referring to, he looked down at their position and said, "Oh, you so stupid. How are you so stupid?" And the Speaker of the House allowing this man to get away with all this kind of thing and calling everybody stupid and everybody smart. And never mind, I repeat, never mind, he's not educated enough to understand. But I repeat, Mr. Speaker, so you're going to repeat because them down the head and opposition don't know anything. He alone, he has a monopoly on smartness. He has a monopoly on money. He has a monopoly on wisdom, and he has a monopoly on finances. So they will get the hell out. Who the hell you are? You are no good. You all are no good and nothing. So he come now trying to play helping the poor people. He have no interest of poor people. Look where his connection is. How much poor people he connected. How much poor people he helped. Whether in ministries or whether he have nobody. So they should be ashamed to talk. They should all be lining up to help this government to make sure the country succeeds. They
Oh, no,
should
no,
not.
no, no, they're not going to do that. Come on, Doc, don't even ask that.
No, but
You know,
that is tell you how far off they are. That where they
they
are and where they ought to be is
they have to go
10
bury
miles
their
apart.
head. They have to go bury their head in the sand somewhere.
That is why you see 15 years they should not be around.
15 years, forever,
Well,
forever and ever,
yeah, I'm taking 15 and then I'm
until
taking the
thy
first one.
kingdom come.
Yeah, they already
But
qualified.
now we have a prime minister. We have a prime minister that's trying to put sustainable things in place. We are trying to put after school education program. You could work your CPAP job and you go to school and you take the courses to advance yourself. Right? These are the kind of things. We are trying to redirect how funds are towards the people. Redirect the resources to help you better yourself. This is what the Prime Minister is trying to do. The Prime Minister is trying to create a sustainable foundation by providing laptops to your children, providing all the resources. She said no matter what school you pass through, you will make it. Because you know why she's saying that? Because she's going to put things to ensure
Oh,
that you make it in life.
right. So just one more thing. I told you all before I was coming to you all. I just got the paper. I was looking at it. There's one more thing that came across. I glanced it through somewhere when I was reading one of the pages. I only spent about 20 minutes reading the papers anyway. It was about one of the PNN people saying that Kamala, the Honorable Prime Minister, is awfully quiet. You know the story about she's sick and she can't feeble and blah, blah, blah. But they're not saying that really to be exact. So what I'm saying is that what they're saying really is they're saying, okay, she need to come out and tell the nation why we have in the state of emergency. She have not told us that. Is that we heard from the commissioner, but we heard nothing from the government. So who you think the commissioner is? So why she must come out and do the commissioner's job? See, that's the PNM. They push the commissioner in a corner, and Rowley will talk. He's the only smart one on the list, or the next one, or the minister of finance. The two smart one they have. Either Rowley, now they have a third one, the one who talk in the race all the time. But forget him. So those two of them was the only smart one they had, and then they delegate another one who is just was a government prime minister for 2 days or 6 days or for how many days. So tell me. So if you asking now, they're not telling us why we have a state of emergency. So that means that we live in a la la land. Don't you look around and see what is happening? Don't you read the paper? I'm sure you get free papers. I had to pay for mine. You want to be getting free papers. Read the papers and see what is going on, how much murders and how much this and how much that and who planning what. How you saying what you saying this government not saying anything about what the state of emergency is all about? They're
Doc,
not saying anything.
these
Why do
morons,
we
let me
have
tell you something. They went as fast. Here's a voice, here is a message, right? It seems something else might have happened on Thursday evening. An ambassador from Europe, from a European country, told me the information in the cops is that she suffered some kind of medical trauma on Thursday evening and had been semi-conscious and non-verbal since. The decision to call an SOE was taken by others bidding for bidding for time. I hope they know people can remain alive in a vegetative state for a very long time, and they need to appoint someone to act PM and could only be done, and the only person could be is Munila. This is mischief.
oh,
Mischief.
that, yeah,
This this this
yeah,
is
yeah.
what, because the prime minister didn't come and talk in the press conference to us Thursday because she was busy in the cabinet addressing some issues and she allowed other ministers to speak. This is the level of nastiness. First, going coming up to the election, they said something wrong. She foot, she can't walk, she can't do this. This is the nastiness coming out to say that the past prime minister is incapacitated, right? And for and they said, then they were saying she can't win an election, and we had to replace she and put this one and put that one, and she turned out to be the sole person that caused me to win the election because how much the people love and trust this lady.
But then again, Gary, you see, nobody signed that letter from the the European nations. There was no signature to that, so that might be part of email gate all over again.
No, no, but this doesn't matter who signed and who signed. The point I'm making here,
There's no
this is
signature.
this is
There's
the
no signature.
propaganda. This is the propaganda. This is the propaganda. I
Correct.
got a call about it. And then I sent back a message because Kamala made some kind of statement. I said, look, dead woman talking. Right? I said, tell them dead woman talking. Because they say she not alive. They went as far as saying she not alive. And creating a kind of hysteria as some among some of our key supporters. And I know I got a call and I say, listen, I send back a message that says, look, dead woman talking. They say she dead, look, she talking, right? So I mean, the PNM is an evil force on our country, and it has held people mind hostage, and they have to be liberated from this kind of thing. Well, I'm happy the younger generation has stepped away. Like I said, I'm very happy about the younger generation stepping away, and said they're not turning back. And the main thing we have to do now is to help this government. All of us have a role to play in helping this government to succeed, helping this government to deliver in whichever way. Dr. Maraj, you are in the educational field. You have some background in law enforcement. I mean, Sumant, you have your background in technology and teaching also, and whatever role we can play to help this government to achieve what we're trying to do to enhance the skills of our nation, and giving them the support so that they can succeed. Let's focus on these things. forget these fools. We have to blast them, yes. Yes, we have to blast them, you know, and and call all the bullshit. But let's help the government put the better things in place for people, the better resources, and achieving the goals that we're trying to do. That the things that the our prime minister envisioned, and the, all the ideas that we supplied to this government during the campaign, that we want to see that this is executed. Go ahead, gentlemen.
Yeah, so let me just say that I heard what you said about the oil and gas thing, and I kind of dismiss it, but I really know that's important.
Yeah, yeah. I
That
wanted you to understand what's taking place so that
yeah,
you know that there's the revenue stream we're making some headway.
right. So that they need that, and that would be good. But that is a side point. The main thrust is for us to lay a handle on this invasion because you will have all the money and the invasion will still happen, and the house and the crime and thing will still continue.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, but that
So
the point I'm making here, Doc, also we will get the funding to deal with the issue. We will get the funding to deal with the social issue. We'll get the funding to deal with the people that don't have food and they end up getting frustrated and doing something that they shouldn't really do. So because the money will be coming in, we want the people to understand that we are heading in that direction.
right. So that is important, but that should be only a short term measure because in the end, the only people to fix Trinidad and Tobago will have to be the UNC. I would leave it for the private enterprise, but we have not graduated to the level where our private enterprise could stand up because you see too much of our parasitic, I think Pandey call them parasitic oligarchy, and that's a useful term to
They are
what
for
I'm going.
themselves. They are out to get as much for themselves, and to hell with the rest of you. Just use you conveniently.
Right, so I would have depended on them to really pull the economy out, but they're not interested in that. They're interested in buying. You see, the other night you were saying something, and sometimes I was way to get an opportunity, and sometimes, but the other night you all were talking about. No, no, sorry, not you all were talking about. Somebody just was talking about this. That they all, if you listen to this Trinidad people, every week they have a conference somewhere in the Hyatt, or in some Hilton, or somewhere about some, and you know what is it about? Somebody coming to tell you how to boost agriculture. And they spend 5 days in a hotel eating, drinking, and marrying. And when they go back, nothing happened. So the prime minister had to go to this meeting. She just in government. She had to go to some meeting in Jamaica. She didn't go, and everybody think that she's slanting the people because you could go to a talk shop and nothing really. Because what comes out of these things? Very little. They have a talk, they're happy, and they clap and they come home. That is how that kind of talk show we could do without. So what these 1%ers do is this: the Trinidad 1%ers. They will have some conference in big time hotel somewhere, and somebody from America or England or Britain or Europe will come and they do a demonstration of some AI kind of stuff, and they say, "Oh, we could do that here." So they run to the guy we just talked about, the previous minister of finance. Me ain't doing that yet now, and they will tell him, "Well, look, send your people for training." And what they're doing, what they want percenters do, is they will import the stuff for a high commission or for a high profit. And now the government is training their people to use some kind of technology that really don't have much use for it. That may not be really practical or useful to save any kind of money. So the 1%ers get a cut or get the profit for importing something because they're not making anything. Their job was merchandising. All the English traders doing in the West Indies were merchandising. How much you open a big time store, some big time, only the one who are Nestle's and a few of them come from Europe, they are here. But most of the 1%ers in the early days, when they have what they did, they come and they really do merchandising. They buy from the metropole and they sell. They were traders, they were the Kupolani type. The Kupolani was suitcase traders. So they're making nothing. They're only being a conduit for support goods made in another country, and they make the profit because they bring it to shipping. They bring it to them, because they had the shipping control and the shipping got everybody who in the shipping really working for those 1%ers because they get something cleared tomorrow. You call, take out a phone and they get cleared. You have to wait 3 weeks and 1 month, and they getting cleared in 2 days time and 1 day time. So I could tell you where all of this is. This is where all of this thing is. So they really, this parasitic, they call them parasitic oligarchy, as Pandey says. Those 1%ers are not helpful to Trinidad. That's the same papers I just read a while ago. They are not helpful. All they need to do
And they will stimulate and promote this racial talk to keep the
that
people divided.
that absolutely you got it. You got it. I couldn't say it better.
And
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
only
No, no. Go
not
ahead, Doc. I don't want to hold you up.
and,
Go ahead.
No, but you said real good. No, you said real good. Really,
and Abraham,
that's part of the tapestry. That's
Abraham,
part of the con game.
yes, and Abraham,
So people,
add a little
Trinidad must call all the black people. Everybody must call, even the white folks as well. They must call out those 1%ers that did so much harm to the country and continue to do harm to the country. So Trinidad must, and the PNM was the helping agent. They were the conduit. They were they're the foot and hands, the hands and feet of the 1%ers doing the dirty work for them. While they're laughing all the way to the bank, the PNM is fooling the small people, pass the siphoning to the people who support them financially, because this PNM is only a conduit to pass the money from the poorer, from their citizens onto the 1%ers. So the 1%ers living happily thereafter. And the poor people, like that, the CPF people are catching the skin forever. And the PNM laughing all the way to the bank too, because they're getting good payoff. They'll take him a trip. Look at how much time Rowley and the prime, the ex-prime, the vice prime, look, all the vice premier. They went all over the world. Every time you see them in Africa, they're in Australia, they're in England, they're in America, they're in Louisiana. They're all about negotiating deal. You know, I ain't seen no deal come out yet, and they give it, they passing bribe along the way. Let me tell you one thing again. We living in America. There is a group of people. Some of them have PNM ties, 1% ties in Trinidad, that they lobby on behalf of the government. I think we mentioned this sometime before, you know. On behalf of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, they hire a pressure, what they call, you know, those people who do work in the Congress. They're the people who you know how they
Lobbyists.
call
They
them?
hire lobbyists.
The lobbyists. That's the word I'm looking for. Lobbyists. They are paid lobbyists by the PNM. The NAR never did it. The UNC never did it. And you know how many millions it is? Quite a lot. And this was in the 90s. I don't know if it happened in William days, but it happened in the 90s.
There was a recent situation with Dr. Rowley administration. You know?
Right. But Manning was also involved in that, Rowley involved in that, and it continued. But my question was, I went to search to see in the time of Pandey, in the time of Robinson, and the time of Madam President, and nowhere did I see any lobby because the government of the United States have a record of all of these things. Nowhere did I see during those years any one of these governments didn't pay for any lobbyists. And we are talking about $2 and $3, and we talk about millions of dollars. What have they gotten from that lobbying? They were lobbying even when the DLP, even when the Democrats were not in government, they were lobbying Democrats who were not in government. They were in opposition, and they right now they're scrunting. They are not. The Democrats is down to the lowest level they could ever reach. Well, maybe they have low, I don't know. But they're lobbying people who are not in power. They're paying for money people who are not in power. What kind of lobbying is that? You have to lobby the Democrats when they're in power, and you lobby the Republicans when they're in power. They're not lobbying Republican. You can see where they're going with all of this. And this is millions of dollars. And some of the lobbyists, they belong to a state board in Trinidad. They belong to private boards in Trinidad. And they're also sitting on the lobbying board here in some of these companies in fact, one of the guys, I don't want to call his name, but one of the guys, his wife used to live in Trinidad. In fact, I don't want to call the minister's name, but I would not call that name.
Don't call nobody name.
I don't want to call nobody name, but there is a past minister his ex-wife or current wife, is sitting on one of the lobbyist board here in the United States, right here in Washington. So I don't know if the contract ran out or they still have any contract or what is currently the situation, but I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if the contract end when as the government came to an end. I don't know how long this contract is going to be for. They lobby this contract people so that and I think the prime minister said, past prime minister said, well, everybody lobbied, therefore we had to lobby too. But Robinson didn't do it, Pandey didn't do it, and Kamala did not do it. So how
And
everybody have to lobby?
what was
And
his tech?
because you are
What
not in
was
the
his?
show for it.
Was he
Nothing
was
wrong
he
with lobbying,
returned?
but you are not in the show for it.
Yeah,
What
that's
have
what I
you
said. What
won?
was he returned? What was he returned?
Nothing.
That's what
Zero.
interesting.
Because everybody they're doing it, you do it too. These
They
many of these
based on
people,
Bonita wine and dine. That is what they did.
that's it. Many of these people depend, those other smaller countries, they depend on tourism and therefore they want the tourism thing going. And if you could get it to, that's what they want. They want people to come to show to them and the congressman could make a appeal on their behalf in the constituency or in the state and all that. They have, you don't, Trinidad doesn't depend on tourism. They don't want any tourism to the best of my knowledge. They never make any pitch to get tourists to the country. Sometimes we had look the other one we were naming the street here in Trinidad because street in Richmond Hill here. The embassy came down, the Trinidad embassy came down, and they set up a pool, they set up a platform where they were selling Trinidad and Tobago, come visit Trinidad and Tobago, and the American Airlines or Caribbean Airlines will have a booth and they will, well, that's fine, that's good. That's all that's all we know. I never see one of them advertised, nothing but Trinidad and none of the where we are, Miami maybe, but up here, we don't see any advertisement about Trinidad. Come visit Trinidad. We see all the countries, but not Trinidad. So they don't depend on tourism. I don't know why they pay all this money that should have been a big stink. But the 1%ers, the 1%ers know about it, but they didn't talk because they also hand in it. They have a hand in all of this. So I could I'm gonna tell you exactly how much what year they pay and what much they pay and all. I really want the government want to if trend I want to see that, but I could get all. I have it somewhere loaded and have it some in a file somewhere.
Yeah.
But I could
Bring
look
it
at
up
it.
when you can. Bring it up when you
Yeah, I could
You
do
know,
that. I could pull it up.
tourism
Yeah.
is one specialty there. So you could talk
Yeah.
tourism with you too.
Yeah. Well, guys, it's about 11 o'clock now, so I don't know. Good night.
All right. So let me know
All
for
right, John.
tomorrow night if you have anything to say. We will talk. Mr. Singh, you want to close up here on
Yeah,
your
well,
comments?
generally all in agreement. We talked about the crime situation, the new proposed legislation, and so on, the penalties involved. There are some issues that need to be sorted out, but that should not hinder the passing and debating of the bill. I personally think it's good law and it's a little long overdue and it will set the tone for this current government. So, as well as I brought up the issues with the pigmentation of the skin to become criteria according to one UE sociologist, not social scientist, who is a member of the PNM, and he has been member of a number of PNM boards. That he said now is the time to bring equity in board nominations. My question is, where was he all the past 10 years?
No, more than 10.
Yeah, well, from ever since I know myself,
Right.
whenever the PNM in power, they was always very selective. Unless you have a certain pigmentation, you'll never be on a board. But as Dr. Maharaj quite rightly said, it's based on ability, competence, but most importantly, it must be based on your ability to carry out the present
Right.
government strategy for development. And if you
Right.
cannot do that, then you are useless to the board. Doesn't matter how competent you are or
Right.
what what's the pigmentation of your skin.
Right.
Does not matter. You have to
Right.
toe the government policy because that's why that has been identified as a developmental tool. So if you cannot go along with that, don't be on the board. You know. So
And importantly, tonight I was rant and rave a lot, but if you want to add this also, that I really appealing and still continue to appeal to the people who have been diehard supporters of the PNM to take a second look and don't be fooled anymore, but liberate yourselves.
but that's a good message for the one day. There's what's it called Emancipation Day, Doc. That's coming up. That's coming up. You know, the always you
Yeah,
know
December 5th, December 9th
liberation,
to 3.
liberation is already a topic. You know, emancipate yourself from mental slavery, and that is always the talk on
But
Emancipation Day.
yeah,
I hope.
the song don't seem to sink in. The message don't sink in. Some people.
But the words don't correlate at that time. You know, it,
Mm,
it becomes something more. The pigmentation takes over, as we say.
mm.
You know, if that is a line of thinking of this gentleman, as you say. But I think we covered the more basic things, and we all in a good stead.
Gentlemen,
Let's hope.
if you want to be on tomorrow night, we could just kind of get your facts together, and we'll do it if you want tomorrow night. Let me know, Dr. Maharaj.
Let's see how much news coverage we get of new
Yeah, there's some
happenings.
things that we didn't cover yet, so I just want Dr. Raj, so I'll have to send him some stuff so he's a little bit better prepared on
I want to
discussion.
talk. I want to do some money talk one of these days.
Oh,
Well,
definitely.
what are you waiting on? How about
Now
tomorrow
that
night?
that has take a little long. It'll take a little long because I have to explain a few things.
All right, so
But
that's all right. You get the airtime, no interruption. You
Yeah,
could do your money talk. You
that,
want to do
yeah,
it
you got
tomorrow?
to,
during the course of the week, we could do that.
yeah. In the week, yeah, sometime maybe. Yeah, it's Sunday. Sunday we mightn't be long tomorrow. It might be a little while only.
Well,
Later in the week, yeah.
You
Yeah,
decide. I mean,
later in the week, more
we
like
run the
that.
show. We run our own show. Nobody run every show here. You decide what you want to say. So let me know. All right. So thank you,
Yeah, but
everyone.
if you see anything big, if anything big happens, let send it us out and we'll come in.
Yeah. So I'll send you all the information I can get us so you can better analyze
Yeah,
the
yeah.
situation.
All
All
right
right.
then. Good night.
All
Take
right. Good
care.
night,
Have a good
everybody.
one.
Thank you for taking time to join us tonight.
All right, Gary. Take care.
So 9 o'clock tomorrow night then.
Okay,
Okay.
Doc.
All right. Cool.
Bye.
Thanks. Good night, everybody.